don't miss God's bliss.
An unexpected life is not worth living. These words, spoken by Socrates over 2,000 years ago, still challenge us today. What does it mean to truly examine our lives? Are we questioning our beliefs, our choices, and the world around us? Or are we just moving through life on autopilot? Welcome to Food for Thought. I'm Jack, your host, and I want to start this first episode by sharing why I'm doing this podcast in the first place. Over time, my curiosity about philosophy has grown into something more, a real passion. The more I've read, questioned, and debated, the more I've realized how philosophy isn't just an abstract subject, it's deeply personal. It's in the choices we make every day, the way we see ourselves, and how we navigate the world. This podcast is my way of bringing those ideas into real conversations. Voltaire once said, "Judge a man by his questions, not by his answers." That's exactly what this podcast is about, asking better questions. My vision for this show is simple: deep conversations, challenging ideas, and the kind of discussions that make you rethink what you thought you knew. This podcast isn't about having all the answers. It's about exploring the big questions together. Sometimes I'll have guests, like today, my friend Tom is joining me. Other times it'll just be me sharing thoughts and unpacking ideas. But no matter what, the goal is always the same: to think deeper, challenge our assumptions, and have conversations that matter. Okay, so as I said before, I'm your host, Jack, and let me introduce my friend Tom. Tom, say something to the
Hey,
people.
hey everyone, this is Tom. Yeah, we've been friends with Jack since college.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
since like
Jack,
1991 or 92, I think.
yeah,
It's more than 30 years. That's a good record. That's longer than some marriages.
yeah. Well, thank God we don't live together. That would have been over a long time ago.
That would have, yeah, living with me is maybe not so easy, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, it's a two-way street. It goes both ways.
Yeah, true, true. Okay, so philosophy isn't just about abstract theories or dusty old books. It's about how we live, how we think, and how we make sense of the world. And today we're tackling one of the most famous philosophical statements of all time, from none other than Socrates himself. The unexamined life is not worth living. What did Socrates mean by this? Why is self examination so crucial? And in today's fast paced world, how do we actually take the time to reflect on our lives? Okay, now after all of that, okay, we turn to Tom. Okay, so this quote, "An unexamined life is not worth living," I think it's a bold statement. When you hear that, what's your first reaction?
It's probably true, but then again, ignorance is bliss. So
Are
we
you
can
sure
argue
about
that.
that?
That's the other side of it, right? I mean, look, examining your life or examining anything deeply is work. Uh, and it,
Yeah,
chances
that's a good
are
point,
it is.
actually.
And work can be, I don't know, exciting or engaging, but maybe sometimes it can be drudgery. Um,
Yes.
so hey, if you got enough time and space and in your life and in your head for deep thinking, have at it. But maybe you got other things on your plate that don't even allow you to go there. So um, yeah, life's a trip.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if ignorance is bliss, personally. Uh, there are many things that you need to know, many things it's better to know to actually face life in a different way. But we're going to maybe talk about that in another couple of minutes because I have these other talking points to handle. Okay? So, Socrates is basically talking about self examination. But what does that actually look like? I mean, is it about questioning everything all the time? Is there a balance? Is there a time that you can do it every day? You set aside time like a meditation to do it? What do you think, Tom?
If you're gonna set aside, if you're gonna be regular with it, then I think it helps, or it's possible only when your life is already structured in such a way that you actually have some free time to devote to it. Would I do that on my own? Even if I did have the time, I don't know. My character may not lend itself to that mode of doing it. I think I would rather be reflectful, with myself when the right time comes about, rather than scheduling it. At least that's how I feel right now.
Thank you. I think walking around questioning everything all the time uh, would kind of make one crazy. So I would think it might be better to set aside time every day and reflect on the day, on the week, or something like that.
Maybe the way to get there is making sure that you have some time for yourself, during the week or a month to relax, right? Just a general relaxation time, and then but instead of watching Netflix or something, uh, maybe I don't know, go for a walk on a nice day in the woods or something, or maybe if you have a good friend, do that, but rather than being absorbed with some other medium, videos, or maybe even books. I mean, I don't know, books are questionable, but instead of watching TV, for example, right? Or just I don't know, go walk around and reflect on life. Maybe sit on an edge, maybe sit on a beach, maybe sit on at a lake or something, maybe at a mountainside. I don't know. Find a pretty place that you enjoy, and I don't know, have a coffee or something, and I don't know, maybe bring a notebook, right? Write some things down. I
There
don't know,
you go.
whatever floats your boat, I suppose. Or just try it, right? Maybe
Right.
try to develop it into some sort of a routine, like taking little notes about yourself, or maybe notes about what you see. I don't know. I'll stop there.
Okay, fine. We're gonna jump into the next talking point over here. Okay. So let's be real. Most people aren't walking around thinking, "Am I living an examined life?" So do you think self-reflection is something we naturally do, or is it something that we train ourselves to do? And I think maybe some people never do it at all. To be honest with you, you know.
I would hope that, especially as we get older, uh, that you do it, that you naturally have to think about what the hell it is you're doing in life. Um, I'm not sure I've met people that are totally oblivious, although I'm pretty sure they exist. Uh, there's been some entertaining shows
Well, I think
about
some
them.
people are oblivious to everything besides what they want.
I don't know, it may seem that way. I mean, yeah, I hate to bring up some political figures that appear that way, but hey, um,
This is not the show for that, please.
yeah, 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 yeah. No,
Okay.
maybe I'm projecting, but I think it is an average person's ability and function, right? To in fact reflect on what is where they are in life and what it is that they're doing
Okay.
sometimes, at least.
Okay. Fair enough. But the other day I was thinking, most people start to reflect heavily only in bad times. For example, the death of someone, they lose their job, they're having fights at home. Um, I don't know, you get into a car accident. There are many things that can happen to make you stop and reflect. It's like certain things kind of shake you until you're awake, and then you start to reflect. What do you think about
Yeah,
that?
that seems right. That sounds about right. Something happens that breaks the monotony, and I don't know, uh, the regularity of your
Yes.
life, and right, and that's a perfect point to, like, oh, wait, the situation is different now. What do I
Yeah,
do?
exactly.
How do I need to adjust? So
Right.
yeah, and that kind of, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Okay. Taking a step backward, let's say, back to the ignorance is bliss thing. Uh, can we reflect on that again for a couple of moments? Do you, I have never believed that ignorance is bliss. Many people think that I know of the people I've met. They've said that phrase, ignorance is bliss. But it doesn't sound to me personally like it's a really good way to go through life. Okay, just not knowing things. You said because you said this before, right? So do you really think ignorance is bliss, or maybe it's okay in
I-
some situations?
Yeah, well, if you get to choose and pick what situation, where like in what situations you use it, yeah, then you can definitely make it work better in certain situations than others for sure, right? So you can optimize like that. But I want to make an argument that, in the animal kingdom, right? There's many animals that you would for which you can argue that they don't actually think, at least not on a level that humans do, or they don't necessarily concern themselves with, I don't know, with higher level thoughts or ideas. Yeah, they just sort of, forage for food,
Right.
procreate, seek shelter when necessary, hang out in a troop or whatever, and that's it. Like there is no now. Can you say anything about them being happy or unhappy? Perhaps like there is definitely you can observe depressed behavior in animals. That's the thing. So if there is depression, there is probably excitement and happiness as well, maybe the opposite of that. Um, so on a very basic level, I'd say,
You're
yeah, I'll
struggling
use
with
that as an
this.
argument.
Let
Yeah,
me ask
well,
you. Let me make a comment here. That's okay. That's not a problem. Let me
it's
make this comment over here. This thing I'm thinking. I think people say ignorance is bliss on hindsight. Something happens, they find something out, and they could say to themselves, I wish I never found that out. It's always in hindsight. It's always looking back. You follow what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say
yeah,
is, you know, you can not say that until you're looking backwards and making like a mental note of, oh my God, I wish I didn't know that.
that may be true. Um, yeah, I'll just agree. I don't know what else to add here.
Okay,
Uh,
no problem. That's cool. Okay, let's move along to the next talking point. So, is there such a thing as too much self examination? Can we overthink to the point where it paralyzes us or makes us unhappy?
yeah, totally. I think so. Yeah,
Right.
paralysis through analysis. Yeah, I've been there for sure.
I love that.
Um,
That's good.
and then there is, I think it's Roosevelt's quote says the inaction has caused more harm than quick, not thought out action. I would have to look that up to
Oh,
get
yeah.
that correct.
Yeah, I've heard the
I'm
quote. I don't
definitely not
remember
getting it
who
right.
said it. No, we could look it up if you want. It wouldn't be too hard to find out. But I understand the point you're
Yeah, if you
trying to
want to,
make. Let me try to
yeah,
Google this.
yeah, pull it up.
I don't know if I can figure this out though. Let me see. More harm than good was done by action. Something like this. Famous quote. And you know what? I can't find it. More harm than good was done by inaction. Famous quote meaning. I can't find it.
Give me a second. Maybe
The only thing necessary. What is the meaning of
yeah,
inaction? Inaction.
inaction has caused more harm than wrong action.
Yes. Yeah, and I can't find out that part I got, but I can't find the person who actually said it for some reason.
See if chat GPT knows. Yeah, John F. Kennedy, Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson.
Ah, okay. So all of those guys are in good company. So it's better sometimes to just do something without thinking about it so much. I mean, experience shows this, not because I say so, because people have stated. Just jump in there, do something, learn from your mistakes if you have to, and then move on. You know?
Yeah, I think the most recent example of how to be in life that deals around this idea of, doing and then fixing if you have to is like Elon Musk, even though, he's like, all right, let's do some and let's remove some complexity out of the
Yeah,
system first,
he's
see
talking
see how
about
far we
going
can
back
get.
to first principles.
Uh, that too, yeah. But the idea is that hey, you're trying to build a system that performs. It requires that it is as uncomplicated as possible, and therefore he allows his teams to delete 10% of the parts that they think could potentially be deleted on the top of the list of things that maybe can be removed, and you're going to remove it, and then you're going to test your system, and then if the system fails because of the lack of one of the parts or something, then you can re-add it, and that's fine.
Right,
So yeah, try it in a less complex configuration,
right,
see how far you can get with that, and then re-add it if you really need to. But be okay with just cutting things out, cutting the fat.
right. Okay, uh, let me go on for a moment because I want to point something out. There's this thing that I prepared here for you, Tom, and also the people listening. Okay, basically, wisdom in philosophy is often understood as the practical application of knowledge and understanding. It goes beyond simple knowing of facts or drawing conclusions. It involves using that knowledge in a thoughtful, discerning, and ethical way. Philosophers from different traditions have defined wisdom in various ways, but a common thread is the idea that wisdom requires actions. Okay, so for example, Socrates associated wisdom with recognizing the limits of one's own knowledge. Where for example, he might, I believe he said, "I know that I know nothing." Okay, while Aristotle saw it as a combination of Sophia, theoretical wisdom, and Pronesis, practical wisdom or sound judgment in action. And in Stoicism, wisdom is about living in accordance with reason and virtue. So, in a philosophical sense, wisdom isn't just about learning, it's about applying what you've learned in a meaningful and ethical way of life. So, what am I trying to get at? You cannot apply anything if you're stuck in your head. Because many people have this problem. They overthink, they get stuck in their head. The wheels in their head just keep turning and turning and churning out more thoughts, and they never take action.
Yeah. In the end, what matters in life is physical action, right? It's like
Right,
movement of things from location A to location B at the
e-
very lowest, level. Um,
exactly. In other words, actuality supersedes potentiality. Like a thought could be thought of as a potential idea or action, but putting it into action is what people want. It's like if you have a job and your boss comes in one day and says, "Did you get that thing done?" And you can tell him, "No, I thought about it, but I didn't do it." So you have nothing in your hands.
yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Okay,
real tangible results, right, is what in the end is what what we all seek, I suppose.
I believe so.
And I mean, and being in a place in your mind that allows you to push through overthinking, is definitely a positive thing. That thinking for too long is a disease of some sort, right, or a sickness even.
Yeah,
If you can't get out of that loop.
right. Yeah, I don't know what they call it. I've heard of it, but it's true. You know, there's nothing worse than being stuck in your head all day and not being able to do anything about it. And I believe also depression can be kind of a symptomatic of this. Anyway, let me jump on to the next talking point. Basically, number 7 is Socrates versus today's world. So, Tom, if Socrates were alive today, what would he say about the way we live? What would he say about social media, constant entertainment, and distractions that basically permeate our existence? Or maybe not us, in particular you and me, but in general, that's what society is about.
So I don't know much about Socrates. I haven't really read much on him. I've never had any beers with the guy, you know.
And that would be a lot of fun, I think.
It, hopefully, yeah, that'd be that. Yeah, I'd certainly. I don't know. Maybe you talk to a guy like that and you start feeling pretty inadequate, or I don't know, but maybe not. Maybe you can learn, or maybe you can speak on some level and discuss and uh, learn from each other. Hopefully, but hey, um,
Okay. So I,
yeah. I
I
mean,
kind of
you know,
I stumped
Socrates.
you on this question a little bit. I stumped you. But that's fine. Okay.
Well,
If you think about it this way, modern distractions or distractions in the modern world that we have constantly, all of the messages popping up, all of the windows popping up on your cell phone that you have messages here and messages there. Do you think at all this would hinder self-reflection in any way? Personally, I think it
yeah,
does.
it
There's
steals your
nothing I hate
attention.
more than chasing after my phone because I have 20 pop-up messages from all these different apps. I just ignore them.
No, I mean, look, in general, all the recent apps and technology companies that are out there in at the very basic level, what they are trying to achieve is being able to garner as much of your attention as possible, right? And that kids
Yes,
are most susceptible to that because when you've
absolutely.
grown up with it, like you don't have enough, I don't know, perhaps self-control or wisdom or experience to somehow fight that.
Right. But
Um,
also it's the dopamine hits really
yeah,
addicting.
yeah.
Dopamine is actually quite powerful.
So point one would be that just like any other generation, you know, before us, each generation kind of figures out their way in the world, right? And each time with each generation, the world is a little different.
Yes.
You know, technology is a little different, and politics are a little different, and the geopolitical situation is a little different, but somehow the civilization continues. All right, cool. Um, will this newest generation with the smartphones be able to survive and perhaps thrive with the new technologies? Probably. What that exactly is going to look like, I don't know, that's hard to say. And who's, you know, and judging whether whether that was a net positive or a negative, you know, only history will tell, you know, whether it was net good or bad. Now one can speculate.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to talking point 8. Okay, so let's say someone out there hears this and thinks, all right, maybe I should be examining my life a little bit more. Where could somebody actually start? Do you think it might be journaling, meditation, asking themselves tougher questions, conversing with other people? What do you think is the best first step towards self examination?
Start with the things you already have accessible to you, you know, in your hand, you know, pen and paper, right? To maybe take stock of what your current situation in life is, you know, like
Okay,
write out like maybe start with listing your relationships. Like, okay, who are you? Are you a friend, a parent, perhaps, a child, a colleague, a coworker, all those things, and like, and you might be surprised with you know like what actually goes down on paper when you really think about it. And once you look at that list, you know, what does that mean to you? Um, and
yeah,
maybe you
that's
want to
right.
cut some of that out. Maybe you want to improve some of the items you have on your list. Um, But that's 5-10 minute exercise you can do like right now. You can type it on your phone if you choose.
right? Providing
Yeah.
that people are brutally honest with themselves, because if you're not going to be honest with yourself, which I think is the
Well,
precursor to
yeah,
all of this, nothing's going to happen.
you can ask. Yeah, you can totally ask, what are the issues with my list of people, or on the list of relationships I have, or on the list of roles I play in life? Are there problems here? And what's good and what's bad about it? Do I want to do anything about it? Yeah,
Yes,
and maybe the answer is yes. Maybe hopefully less frequently the answer is going to be no. But take stock. I don't know.
yes,
For me, it's always take stock of what the situation is now, and now that you know what it is, you can then take reasonable steps forward. Right? Hey, what do I
right,
want it to look like tomorrow?
right. And not for nothing, but I think it takes a lot of courage to go down this list, you know, actually identify things that need to change and actually go on and try to change them.
Life was never meant to be easy, and sometimes it comes up in conversation. People ask, don't you want to be happy? And I don't know. I've last 10 years or so, I've settled on. I think happiness is overrated. I think satisfaction in life is really more important than just being, happy.
Yeah,
Maybe there was crossover there, right? Maybe satisfaction is partially happiness, or the other way around. But
right. We may have to do a show on this in the future because
to
being
tease
a,
that
a
out, I
happy
think,
idiot, excuse me?
no, no, sorry, I was done. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, I was saying, being a happy idiot is still being an idiot. Just trying to be happy all the time, running through fields and picking wildflowers, that kind of a thing. An idyllic life. Nothing comes out of it, and you don't get so much out of it. Just being happy. First of all, I think being happy in and of itself is actually also a choice. Okay, I don't remember where I read it, but people are out there saying this. Happiness is a choice. You can be happy where you are with what you have, or never be happy at all. Especially if you're trying to gain more and more things. New cell phone every year, new car every year, or whatever. Thinking that's going to be the answer to your happiness, and things are never going to be the sum total of your happiness. It has to come from within. And
I
satisfaction,
totally
I think,
agree
is
with.
much more lasting. Satisfaction with a job well done, or I don't know, a good meal, just a simple conversation with a friend. There's certain things um, that give you much more lasting satisfaction. Because I think happiness, real happiness, the way these people describe it, like I've never felt. Number one, and number two, um, it's also very fleeting. It's just 1 second it's there, and another second it's not there. You know, so that's the way I think.
I mean, I generally tend to ask for specific examples, especially when you really want to try to get at answers, real answers, or real solutions. Um, So yeah, I would love to like go deeper on a specific situation that of when someone says they're happy and why, describe that fully, and then talk about it some more. But this may not be the time for it. I don't know. It's
Right. But another thing is sometimes people use words in different ways from each other. People will say, I'm happy, and they're just lying through their teeth because they want also the appearance of having a perfect life, which happens a lot on social
well,
media too.
yeah, totally right. I was about to say that too.
Yeah, there you go. I stole
Right?
your gusto.
Well, the shit that people post most of the time is all the sound bites, if you will, or the all the pictures that look good
Yes.
and nothing else, right? Not
And they're all
it's
filters,
it's
right?
it's
It's
not
all filters.
Yeah, it's all filtered, right? It's all the best stuff and like things that others may potentially be jealous of, right?
Yes.
Right. Like you only show your achievements, you don't show all the things, all the failures along the way. Um, and in pictures, it's easy to fake what the situation really is. Like you can
Yes.
essentially pose and look all happy and like everything's great, but as soon as the shot is taken, you can go back to your depressed self and having a
Right.
fight with your
Whoever.
partner or kids or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Or back to drinking. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think many people have become very good at faking it. Which goes back to the other talking point we were talking about before. But anyway, this is the last talking point, number 9. All right. After all of that, okay, uh, do you actually agree with Socrates? Do you think an unexamined life is not worth living?
So, what do I want to say? Well, all right. So here we have a guy who's basically famous for having thought about stuff a whole bunch. So generally, when you do something a lot, you get good at it. Uh,
Yes.
Personally, I value expertise and and people who have went there and tried it and tried to succeed at a thing themselves, right? So I'm going to assume that Socrates was, in fact, not assume, I mean, okay, it's pretty well known that basically he was a master at this game. And because he chose to, well, maybe he didn't choose, but he spent the time to achieve mastery in that arena. Um, that's big props for that. And because you spend the time, I'm willing to agree with you, right? Because you actually did the work.
Yes.
You're not just out there, spewing hot air. You actually like spend the time to figure it out, and you've probably done it better than most. And
Yes.
therefore, that is my reason for why I would just be willing to just agree with the guy.
Right. Uh,
Yeah. Um,
at the end of the day, I think what he's talking about is actually, I think it's correct. I think it's the difference between existing, just survival mode all the time. What am I going to eat? What am I going to wear? Where am I going to sleep? That kind of a thing. Actually living conscious choices. Okay. Do you want to go on a break?
yeah, we can break and jump back in later. Sure, why not? Breaks are good.
Okay, so we're back. Hope you had a moment to reflect on all of that. Now let's dive back in. Okay, so after all of that, you may be wondering what's the takeaway from all of this, which is a good question, actually. How can someone start examining their own life today? Very simply, start simple, maybe make it more complicated later. But the easiest thing to do is just to keep it simple. So, why do I believe what I believe? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Maybe you should. Or reflect on major life choices. Ask yourself, did I choose this or did life choose it for me? We were talking about this next part before. Keep a journal of thoughts and experiences. Also, having deep conversations with people who actually challenge your views. It's very nice when everybody agrees with you and you feel like a genius, but if somebody says something opposite to what you're saying, it can get ugly really quickly. So that's very important to talk to people who actually challenge your views. Okay? It can make you think very deeply about why you believe what you believe. Okay? The next part, take moments of stillness to question your direction in life. Make moments during the day, if it's possible to do it every day, even if it's 5 minutes. Take these moments of stillness to question your direction in life. Okay, and maybe you're wondering, maybe I don't know, what might be some simple and effective ways to cultivate self-awareness. Everybody knows about meditation and mindfulness, but also you may want to read actually read, pick up a book and read something on philosophy, going back all the way to Socrates himself, okay, or maybe Zeno of Citium, back to the original Stoic, OG Stoic, yeah, right there. Engage with different perspectives from what you read, or maybe questioning automatic thoughts and behaviors, and seeking feedback from people you trust. Okay. Well, basically, that's it for today's episode. This is episode number one. Let me just repeat that again. And we've explored some big ideas, but as always, the real question is, how do we apply them? Ask yourself that because you have to answer that question yourself. I don't think I can give you an answer to that question. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something to think about. Every episode, I'm going to try to anyway, ask my guests this question. Okay, so Tom, get ready. What is a piece of wisdom, whether from philosophy, personal experience, or anywhere else, that has genuinely changed how you live your life?
Yeah, I think one is a belief, and that is or attitude, and through that, I think being grateful for what I already have, you know, for like what my life currently
Yes,
has been has been very valuable, and I think maybe the biggest positive driving force. Just look around and see the good things, and maybe even the difficult things. Yeah, but still, you're alive. You're walking around. You get to meet people. You get to work. You get to see kids. You get to see your kids. You get to interact with family and friends. You have you know people around that care for you at least a little bit. If not, you know that you care, for them. So
right?
yeah, I don't know. Embrace that, but just gratitude for what you already have. Like,
Yeah,
see that glass half full, not half empty kind of thing. Um, and in other general rule that that I find useful is give yourself when you try to achieve something, allow yourself to take baby steps, like with this journaling. Like you don't have to have a special notebook. You don't have to have uh, necessarily a half an hour of free time on a specific day. Take a post-it first, right? And
yeah,
whatever pen you got laying around, and write down a sentence or two. Like
right.
it's a start, you know.
That's right,
Just
exactly.
just do that. Like it'll take you 7 seconds. Like do that, and you know what? If you want to throw it away. If you want to, put it aside and start stacking them up, do that. But like you don't need much more than that to start. That's it.
That's right. Start where you are. And I liked very much that you went towards the question of gratitude. You know, I think that I find that important in my life as well. Just being thankful for everything as much as possible. It's really great. It enriches your life a great deal. And you may not, if you don't do it, you may not realize it. You may not believe that, but it does. Okay, we're kind of wrap this up right now. We're in the final portions of today's episode. Basically, I want to say this: philosophy isn't just about theories; it's about how we live. If we're not applying what we learn, we're just collecting ideas, not wisdom. There's a very good distinction there to pay attention to. So here's something for you, listener, to reflect on this week. What's one belief, habit, or assumption in your life that you've never really questioned? What happens if you do? Okay, that's your homework. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, share, and keep the discussion going. You can find Food for Thought on YouTube and Spotify. Connect with me on X, Instagram, and Facebook. I love to hear your thoughts. Okay, so until next time, question what you know, challenge what you believe, and see where the truth takes you. Bye, everybody. All right, thanks a lot, Tom. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for
Thank you.
having me.
Sure.